Good evening. Good evening. Good to see everybody here tonight. I am so excited to be able to report back. And I bring you hellos and greetings from the Church of Christ in Tamazo, Haiti, along with the church in Pagis, Maribalais, Bouman, and the brothers that reside in Dufayet. Here at Glendale Road, we are blessed with the opportunity to have kind of a two-headed mission work in the country of Haiti. And tonight we get a chance to report back to that, and I'm so thankful for the eldership and their decision to not only support those mission efforts, but also to give us the opportunity to share what's happening only 700 miles southeast of Florida. So let's jump into it. As we look at our Haiti mission report, like I said, we have two different types of missions that happen that we here at Glendale Road support. The first one through Brother Luke, which started back in 2010. And that began, Walter Lee got involved with Brother Luke after the massive earthquake that happened. And since 2010, this congregation has been supportive of Brother Luke and his kind of a grassroots effort, which started in Maribalais and has now grown to Pagis, to Bellevue, and Dufay is in the middle of that. We also have another mission work that started 2 years ago as we collaborated or partnered with Hope for Haiti's Children, an organization out of Cincinnati, Ohio. President Ken Beavers there started that, I believe, in 1993. And in the last 2 years, we have had the privilege to work with that organization as we have been a part of Camp Hope 2018 and most recently Camp Hope 2019. And we'll be talking about those efforts here tonight. Most of you are probably aware of Haiti, again, 700 miles southeast of the tip of Florida, but you may not be aware that it is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. There's roughly over 9 million people in the country of Haiti, and 2/3 of those are unemployed. Over 6 million people in that country don't have a job. 52% of them are illiterate, and poverty is rampant. 80% profess to be Catholic, but voodoo is very prominent. And so Hope for Haiti's Children in their efforts has 10 schools, 10 Christian schools throughout the country of Haiti, along with 2 orphanages. And we have played our part as going over and being a part of, like I said, the Camp Hope campaign. But if you look at the map on the screen, you'll see this is Haiti. And here in just a second, when I go to the next screen, you're going to see, if you can see it, the yellow star is Maribalais. And that is where Brother Luke has been working and continues to work, and Brother Luke is back in the States. But Maribalais is kind of the centerpiece where our brothers such as Williamson and Franzo and others are helping to spread the word there. Yvonne is one that we support somewhat financially through our goal or through our contributions. But let me tell you a little something about, most of you have probably seen Haiti in the news here recently. Haiti is extremely tumultuous right now. There's a lot of turmoil going on. But Yvonne, being the lead preacher at Dufayet, he travels to Bellevue, where the congregation, and we'll talk about size in just a minute. But this last Sunday, not today, but the previous Sunday, he had to go preach at Bellevue. But due to the protest, he couldn't get to Bellevue by car. There's burning tires in the road. There's rocks blocking the way. There's gangs that won't allow him to pass. So what does Yvonne do? Does Yvonne say, I can't make it? No, Yvonne walks through the woods for 3 hours on Saturday to get to Bellevue so he can preach on Sunday. That's just an example of what our brothers and sisters are doing in the country of Haiti to worship. You see the yellow star, hopefully. The red star is where the Tamazo campus, which we'll spend most of our time talking about this evening. But just a quick look at Brother Luke's work. Brother Luke, again, has 3 main congregations, one being in Maribalais, one being in Pagis, one being in Bellevue. You can see that there's between 100 and 130 people that worship at each different location on Sunday. Here is a picture of what, I believe this is the church in Pagis, what that church building looks like. You see here, this is Yvonne, the gentleman I just told you about that marched through the woods for 2 hours in order to be able to preach the Word of God. This is a group of children at Bellevue. On Sundays, when things are a little bit better than they are now, they have a group of kids that come together so that they can teach them the Word of God, and this is a picture of those young people. Here's a group of men who serve in leadership roles in the churches there in Haiti. In Haiti, they have a Mardi Gras in February. And one of the things Brother Luke has always wanted to do is he's wanted to have a youth retreat where he can pull the children away from the debauchery that takes place with Mardi Gras and pull them to the Dufay campus. And so this is the picture of this year's youth retreat. You see VBS, the gentleman in the white hand is Yvonne, who I spoke about earlier, and the gentleman in the white shirt, that is Franzo, two of the leaders there in the church in Mirabelais. Again, another picture of VBS. And one of the things that in 2014, a group from here traveled to VBS, and one of the things that is such a benefit to the children there with their opportunity to participate is a warm meal. It's not always possible for those living in Haiti. So that's just a small portion of what Brother Luke usually comes, and he'll preach and he'll do those things, but I did not feel it correct to present to you tonight on the work going on in Haiti and not to mention those brothers and sisters that are striving in that work in that portion of Haiti. Camp Hope, 2019. I mentioned earlier that this is a partnership between Hope for Haiti's Children, which is a nonprofit, and we have been blessed to work with them for the last 2 weeks. In 2018, we had Camp Hope, and that Camp Hope was all about Jesus. We taught them about how Jesus lived and what Jesus taught. And we had a group that did outstanding work, and we kind of laid the groundwork for the group that was able to go back in June and early July this year, because last year was all about Jesus. This year was Christ in me. And so as we walk and talk through this, the next couple slides, and I will tell you, just for your knowledge, when you have a presenter that has a slideshow prior to his lesson, be prepared to get comfortable. Just kidding. Got lots of slides. I'll go through them quickly, but I'm passionate about the work there, and I want to share as much as I can with you. Camp Hope 2019. There was a group of us that left here, and you see right there, you see Jacob, Bub, Brother Larry, myself, Miss Amy, Miss Stacy, Mr. Mike, and my wife Lacey. But this wasn't the only part of the team, because we were blessed with the opportunity to meet a family of 4. The Mosby family is with the Inner City Church of Christ in Montgomery, Alabama. They joined our team, and again, most of you can recognize Miss Meredith. So this group joined together, and we were what was called today, when I was, Brother Larry sent me an email after I asked for some things, and he would group us in a group that got to be the goers. In mission work, you have the goers and you have the senders. We were the fortunate ones. We got to go. But we want to thank the senders, this congregation, and so many people that did so many things to help us along our way. And those included, first of all, our elders. The leadership and the mission committee that sees the work in Haiti is important and provides not only financial support, but the ability for us to go and to preach Jesus. The Change for Hope campaign, which was led by our middle school girls, that collected funds in our commons area and was able to collect money for our hygiene bags. It's awfully humbling when you sit there and you see young people, 12 to 14, and you hand them a toothbrush and you hand them a washcloth and you hand them a piece of soap, and it's the greatest thing they've ever got. We had dressmaking. The Daughters of Dorcas, under the leadership of Lake and Fallway, and a whole host of helpers came together with sewing machines, and there was thread flying and just things and all the dresses that were made. Some ladies made dresses on their own and brought them in. Some purchased dresses and brought them in. We had a gift group out of our young adult class that got together and helped us organize. We had letters from home. Some of you have been on mission trips. And the first one I went to, the first morning I woke up and I was able to, Meredith came and she handed me a card, and I thought, what was this? And so I opened it. And from that point on, I determined that I would never be part of a mission trip in which I didn't have a letter from home. And so for those that wrote letters to our mission team, thank you. It was a huge uplift. The prayers and the encouragement, the pats on the back, the prayers could be felt as we traveled, as well as the many, many donations that made that trip possible. And so you'll see a couple. This was an example of our Daughters of Dorcas and the ladies who were making dresses. I think we had 3 suitcases full, I believe. And again, the ability to go and be able to distribute those to the young ladies. If you remember last year's report when Scott was talking, the new dress happy dance. Was that you, Tim? Okay. We had the happy dance. And again, you don't understand what these people are receiving and what this work here. And what I love about this fact is this is a congregational effort where the young and the old are coming together to work together to benefit others. And what a blessing it was for me to witness this, and what a blessing it was for those that we served in Haiti. Also, we had I mentioned our gift group. We came together. You see the young people here. They're making bookmarks. They're just drawing pictures. And then you have a group that was organizing the curriculum. And we'll talk a little bit more about the curriculum here in just a few minutes. And that's very difficult to see, but you can kind of see our timeline. On July 27th, we met at the building, and we headed out. We drove to Nashville, and then we got on our airplane, and we flew. First of all, we flew to Atlanta. Then we boarded a plane in Atlanta, and we flew to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, the capital of Haiti. Traveled by bus to the Tamazo campus, and there we got to spend Saturday preparing. I'll show you a few pictures of that. And then on Sunday, we got to worship with the church in Tamazo. We also got to be part of a kindergarten graduation that lasted 4 hours. But one thing I learned, for 4 hours, and I'm going to speak to this group here, for 4 hours, those young people didn't move. It was amazing how it was so long that they were bringing them water because it was so hot. But these kids, and you'll see a picture in here in a minute, but we got to be a part of that, the importance of education. And on Monday, our kids arrived, and we got to meet 60 young people who are sponsored through Hope for Haiti's Children that attend a Christian school and are brought together. There are 3 different sessions. There's Camp Hope Week 1, Camp Hope Week 2, and then there's a young leadership camp where 180 teenagers get to come together in the summer, and not only to learn Scripture and learn Bible, but also learn leadership and also learn how to coexist and how to build each other up. And so we did that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And on Thursday is a tough time when they go home. And on Friday, we traveled back as well. But on Thursday, we had a chance to go out and visit some of the widows in the community. And I'll talk a little bit more of that in just a minute. Here's the exciting thing about Hope for Haiti's Children. There's a vision, there's a plan, and there's financial support. The Building Hope 2020 is a plan that they see for the next 10 years, and this is an example of what's happening on Tamazo campus. The Tamazo campus, when you get to Port-au-Prince, you get on a school bus, and the road belongs to Pascal. We mentioned that last year. He is the driver for Hope for Haiti's Children. And then you drive down these roads, and then you get off in what most of us would consider a dry creek bed, and we drive for 45 minutes until we turn left, and then we drive some more down that creek bed until we get to the Tamazo campus. And you look, and it's got concrete walls. And you know why it's got concrete walls? Because in Haiti, if it doesn't have walls around it, you haven't staked your claim to it. There's walls around it, and it's got razor wire on the top of it, and you pull in, and you pull into this compound, but on this compound, amazing things are happening. This is an example of one of 3 cabins. There's going to be 8 total, one of 3 cabins that has been built for our campers. The young ladies got to stay in the cabins because we had 60 kids, 30 girls, 30 boys, roughly. So that's one of the new, and again, for those that went last year, do you notice something different? There's green grass. It's amazing the difference. When we pulled into Tamazo, there was a garden, and there was some corn, and there was some other agriculture, and there was green grass, because when we went last year in 2018, there was nothing green. But it had been a very heavy rain season, so you see the difference. This is where the young men slept. This is inside the Tamazo Church of Christ. It also serves as the Tamazo Christian School. When the kids got off the bus, they were welcomed to another improvement on the Tamazo campus, and that was a full-size soccer field. Workers before that had by hand had cleared this area, which you see. When we got there, there was a gentleman who was putting up the goalpost, I'm sorry, that's not right. I'm a football guy. I didn't say uprights. Was putting up the post, and the tool that he had was a pole, and he was jabbing the pole in the ground and loosening it, and he was digging the ground out with his hands because they wanted to have this ready. There were rocks this big that they had picked up by hand and pushed to the side, and I know you can't see it, but if you look close enough, there are still rocks on that field. But the kids didn't mind. This is one of the greatest things they'd seen. I was never a real big soccer fan until we got ready to travel, and again, Haiti has been in turmoil for years, but there had been some protests that had sparked up, but If you remember right, if you are a soccer fan, you'll know that at the end of June there was this tournament going on, the World Cup. I'd never been so excited when Haiti won because the focus of the country had turned to soccer. And speaking of soccer, when it was Saturday evening, I believe, and Haiti was playing Canada. And Port-au-Prince, keep in mind, Port-au-Prince, if I'm standing on the roof of the Tamazo building, it's 45 miles that way. When Haiti beat Canada in soccer, there was a roar that came from that city because of the victory of the Haitian soccer team. If we can get them that excited about Jesus, we've got something. So we see the soccer field, and then you see these gentlemen. Anybody ever mix concrete with a shovel? These gentlemen were out in the Haiti heat, and it was not 72 and partly cloudy, and they were mixing mortar because they were finishing up a latrine that sit over here to the left of that picture. So a lot of improvements are happening here on the campus of Tamazo, but I will say, if you haven't shoveled concrete with a shovel, Brother Larry has now. Brother Larry wandered over and said, "Here, let me have that for a minute." So he got his shovel and started, I will say, probably a couple scoops, but got his hands dirty. We also had a day on Saturday to do some projects, and here you see Larry and Jacob. The chicken coop needed mending, and so you see just a small project. You see the group, you see Mike there and some others who are mending this chicken coop. And the thing about the chicken coop was the next morning we got up, and as I walked outside, there was a chicken outside. And another. So I'm not so sure we did very well fixing the chicken coop, but the next thing you know, later in the week they bring somebody in to fix it. But the door was open, so A for effort as far as that goes. Sometimes we take for granted the building in which we have to worship. You probably can't see, and I apologize for the clarity of the picture, but if you see there's a gentleman with a water hose, and the widows of the church, they come every Saturday, and they take a water hose, and they start to begin at the front of the church, and they walk from front to back, and then you take these brooms, and they push the dirt and the water out as they move the pews, what we would call pews, back in. But here is an example of what's taking place on Saturday as they prepare to worship on Sunday. I mentioned your kindergarten graduation, promotion. Beautiful, beautiful children, excited, dressed up, well-behaved, because they had accomplished something that meant a whole lot to them. They had achieved their kindergarten graduation, got the chance to move on the following year, and we got to be a part of that, and we were honored to do that. In Camp Hope, the way the schedule works, because once we got finished with Saturday and we worshiped with the church on Sunday, and Larry delivered a powerful sermon, and we had a men's class and a ladies' class, and we had a teen class, and we had a children's class that met. Then we had the opportunity to have the kindergarten registration, and then we got to get ready for camp, the reason that they were there. What happens on Monday is the campers would arrive. Some of them would arrive on the bus driven by Pascal, and then the rest of them would come in back of pickup trucks, some of them by foot. But as they arrived, we got to get them all, and we set them down in the pews. And this was our schedule for the next few days. We would have a lecture. We would present the topic in which we were talking about, and then we would break up into discussion groups, and we'd have a chance to discuss with the children, the campers there, about what we had just talked about. Then we'd break up into activities, and we had a craft time in which we try to teach them a skill. Madam Nevada comes in, and we try to they learn how to make those cereal box bracelets or necklaces. We also have an activity time that Mike and Jacob led for us, in which they would do activities. And then, of course, we had sexual purity class that myself, Lacey, and Meredith taught in regards to sexual health and what God's teachings are and related to sex. We would do that, and then we would, in the evening time, on Monday night, we had a worship service at 7 after the children had a chance to eat, and then they would have time for a movie. And then on Tuesday, we did it twice. Large group, discussion group, activities, and then lunch, and then we repeated it. On Thursday, we did the same thing, except on Thursday night, we had a talent show that the children got to participate in. We'll see a little bit of that in just a few moments. And then, of course, on Friday morning, they loaded the bus and went home. So let's take a little closer look at what the curriculum was for Camp Hope 2019. I told you last year was all about Jesus. This year was Christ in me, and Bub had read earlier from Galatians 2:20. And so our first session was about walking in light, and we talked about how God is light. And I had a former boss that used to describe when it was really, really dark, it was as dark as the inside of a cow. That's pretty dark. When you think about dark, I don't know if I'd ever seen it until I was on the rooftop in Haiti. And so these kids that, again, you see a light maybe up on the mountain and you see that, but darkness. And these kids know darkness, literal darkness. But we talked about how where God is light, and where God isn't, there's darkness. And these kids bought into the concept, and we started talking about, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior? Have you been baptized? Have you confessed? Have you done the things that you need to do to be in Christ and to crucify yourself that now Christ can live in you? And how can you let your light shine in Haiti? And it was interesting, our discussion groups and our team can tell you that some of their questions were not that much different than the questions that would be asked by an American teenager. Some were. Questions such as, and it's very similar to what we had last year, what do we do if Dad tells me to go steal this, but Jesus says don't steal? But I can't go home unless I do what Mom and Dad says. That's a reality for some of our Haitian campers. Some other questions related to other topics would come up. But session 1 was about walking in light. On day 2, we talked about showing God's love. One reason we went, and I had a conversation with one of our team members, is because as we went, why do we go? We don't go to take Jesus. Jesus is already there. So why do we go? We go because we are showing them things that they don't normally see. Do you know how they learn in Haiti? They memorize. Rote memorization. Application is not practical. So when we go, we get to teach them a different way. We get to show them what it is. We get to give examples of what we're teaching. And it's amazing to watch these kids when we're doing skits or we're acting out things, when they go, I get it. The light goes on. So session 2 was about showing God's love and how God is love and how Jesus said, love like me. Love the way I loved. And so we covered that in session 2. Session 3 was all about sharing your faith. Sharing your faith, whether it be going to Haiti, whether it be going across town, or whether it be right there where those kids were. How do they share their faith with their family? Again, these children are all sponsored children, and what that means is that they have someone who has sponsored them, that they get to go have an education. They get to go have meals. They get to have those things that other Haitian children don't. So they have some background. How do they share their faith with their family, with their father and mother that aren't believers? How do they share their faith with the people down the road that have no knowledge of Jesus? How do you start that conversation? So session 3 was powerful. And we finished up with session 4, do good work. Doing good work. And doing good work in Haiti, while similar to that in the United States, is a little bit different as far as doing good work. How do you do good work? How do you take care of those widows? How do you take care of your family? What type of things can you do to do work that would be pleasing to God and glorifying to Him? So let's take a look. We talked about how Hope Change for Hope, the Middle School Girls Collective, went directly to the hygiene bags. And this is when, right as soon as the kids have arrived at camp, and you'll see that the girls are seated on the right and the boys are seated on the left, and you see our team is up there, and as they came forward, what they would do is they would hand them that toothbrush, they would hand them that bar of soap, they would hand them the washcloth, they would give them all these things that they could use and they would have as part of being there for Camp Hope. The gentleman that you can see at the top of the screen, and again, it's about people. This is Johnny Lane and Roulette. I'll tell you a quick story about Johnny Lane. Johnny Lane was part of, he was one of the first ones that we met, but he's part of Hope for Haiti staff. By 2010, he was teaching English in the third story of a Haitian building when the earthquake came. And he really talked about it, and I think Scott mentioned it last year when he was talking about they lived the first century church because they were living on the streets. Roulette was the spiritual director for the camp this year, and he also employed for Hope for Haiti's Children. He is the youth minister at the Thomas O. Church of Christ. He was diagnosed with a glaucoma, and they were certain that he was going to lose his sight. But a congregation in North Carolina took care of the bill, flew him here. He had treatment, was taken care of, something that would not have been possible in Haiti. He came here, and you know the one thing that he was most excited about when he came? Think about all the things that you would think that this person who came to Haiti was so excited about. You know his most exciting thing? Riding a lawnmower. Call Nick and Meredith, they'll show you the picture. He's on that John Deere, and he's smiling. I don't think he's cutting any grass, but he's having a good time. But that was the highlight he gave me. We'd joke about it, and so just the two of those guys. But those are two guys that are powerful for Jesus in the country of Haiti. And here's what they're doing, because why else do we go? We go to help teach them how to do things. And this right here is their mentors. These were former campers that you see seated around the table that are assigned to each color group. And these guys are now meeting with them and explaining the expectation that they would have for the campers. This is Madame Nevada. We bring Madame Nevada in, and Mr. Jeff. Madame Nevada is the artisan that makes the necklaces and the bracelets. And so we teach our kids a trade so that they have the opportunity perhaps to use that to generate revenue for themselves and for their families. We talked about memory verses. We have a memory verse competition. When they arrive, what the gift group was putting together was a folder that included memory verses for each session that we had. It also included extra memory verses, and so for every time they got a memory verse, they had to go say their memory verse to a Haitian staff member. They could have said it to one of us, but we wouldn't have known it was correct or not. Of course, they speak Haitian Creole, and you would get a stamp, and there was a competition. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Jacob and Mike were in charge of the games. Many of you have played this. Minute to win it, keep the 3 balloons in the air. They loved it. Balance and concentration. Walking the lines. But what I love about the fact is if you look at these pictures, and I know they're far away from you, but look at the smiles on the faces. Look at the joy that they have. They have hope. For a moment, they got out of what they live in and day out, and they were able to come in and to enjoy. And again, this is just some of the activities and some of the celebrations. This is an example of a skit that we portrayed in which Meredith went to the shoe store to buy what we refer to as Christian shoes. And the skit went back and forth. Of course, you see Mary Shell, one of the Hope for Haiti staff members, and Johnny Lane, they would translate back and forth as they did. But a skit, we talked about how they learn. Typically, it's written in a book or it's written in a form and they learn that way. The skits gave them the opportunity to learn a little bit different. I put this picture side to side because you see Johnny Lane and Roulit on your right. The gentleman on the right of the 2 students, his name is Patrick. He was in group Orange, which is my group. In a matter of 4 days, he memorized 51 memory verses. 51. What I see here is I see the future. I see when Johnny Lane and Roulit are passing the torch, they have people that they can do that to, a product of Camp Hope. Tie-dyed T-shirts is an activity that we do on I think it's on Wednesday night. Actually, no, it's on Thursday, right before and again, the excitement of having a shirt that's theirs has never been worn, and the opportunity to design it the way that they want to. You see the group here. You've got Larry and Mike and Smith and their group. But again, we talked about dividing up into color groups. We had 3 boys and 3 girls. You see the camaraderie that's built during the week. Again, these people come from different schools, whether it be the one in Maribelais, Port-au-Prince, Del Mas. They all come together and they form a group. And they become like family for 4 days. Another benefit that we were able to do this year is we partnered with the Murray-Callaway County Soccer Association and some donations from some of our team members, and we were able to provide a soccer ball for each of our campers. That was a true treat for our campers. At the end of on Thursday, you see John Triard. John Triard is the president of Hope for Haiti's Children in Haiti. He's also the pulpit minister of the Del Mas Church of Christ in Del Mas, Haiti. But as the organizer, he came the last day and he shared with them. And what you see here is the invitation has just been offered. And you see the 2 gentlemen. Stendra is the young man on the right. He was 13 years old. I'm sorry, I guess he would be on your left. Stendra. He was a 13-year-old camper, and he confessed Jesus Christ as Lord and was baptized into Him. The gentleman in the white turp on top, tell you a little bit more about him. His name is Richardson Gustav. Richardson has a son here in the United States in college. He has 4 children in Haiti, and he used to live in America. He went back to Haiti. and he was Scott's interpreter last year. Well, at the end of camp, we had the opportunity to fill out surveys. And when they filled out the surveys on Richardson's last year, it said, or on the survey, it asked the question, it says, have you been baptized, and would you like to study more, or would you like to act on it? And on his survey, he wrote, I am ready to jump into the waters of baptism. So when he came back, the first question I asked him was, have you followed Jesus? Have you been buried with him in baptism? And his words were, Mr. Josh, it's just hard. It's hard here. You don't understand. It's just hard. I hang out with people who wouldn't understand. If I make this decision, they will write me off. I will not be able to be around them anymore because they will not accept me. If I give my life to Christ, I won't have anything. I said, Richardson, I understand, but I said, you know what's right. And I think this was Tuesday. I said, you know what's right. I want you to pray about it. I want you to talk about it. We'll think about it later. And on Thursday morning, he came up to me and he said, brother, I'm ready. I'm ready to give my life to Christ. And regardless of what it was going to cost him, he had made a decision that he was going to be baptized into Jesus Christ for the remission of his sins. And yesterday was his birthday. But July 4th was his baptism birthday. So very excited to share that with you all. Our last picture as we move forward, this is a group picture. The group is getting ready to get on the bus, and so you see about 60 campers, 12 U.S. staff, the rest of Haitian cooks and cleaners and translators and those things that made Camp Hope 2019 a success. I'll move quickly in visiting our widows. One of the benefits we have on one of the last days of this time it was the last day. We get a chance to go out and visit the widows of the congregation there at Tomazo. So you see as we're walking away, you see that Mr. Mosby is carrying a gift to one of our widows. A goat will be given. And you see as we're walking away, you see the terrain and those things. You look at that picture and there's no way that you can see anything besides green grass. That's a nice, view of the landscape. Well, if you look closer, which you can't see, there are 6 individuals walking back from market. Now, market, where we're at right now, from Tomazo is about 1.5 miles. So these 6 individuals had been to market for the day, where they sold charcoal or bartered for food. And so they're walking across this rocky terrain, headed somewhere, and they've already walked about 1.5 miles, and here they are. Do you know where they're going? Top of that mountain or the other side. Still had about 4 hours to walk before they got home. That's the reality of Haitian life. Here's one of the widows, and you can see that she was gifted a goat. But you see her living conditions, metal that she's gathered, tarps wrapped around the house. In this photo, you see her cooking area where she's gathered stones and has cleared the dirt away. This slide you see, and again, it's kind of a dark picture, but you see her water collection system. A jug collecting water from a gutter, taped with a water hose leading to a barrel. That's life in Haiti. Here's another widow that we visited, several children. Another widow had found a way to make her home out of tarps and signs that had been left over the years. This one talking about Gideon. But this one hit me. We're walking back and we see this shipping container over to our left, and you see the young man sitting on top of it. And as we got closer, there was one of the widows from the congregation that was there, and what we took them as goats, or we would take a coffee can and we would fill it with rice and we'd smooth it off and we'd dump it into a bag. So they got 1 bag of rice and a bottle of oil to feed them for weeks. But as we approached this trailer, we gave 1 bag, and we had 1 bag left, and we didn't know what to do, and the widow said, there's another widow in there. Not only was there a widow, but after talking to my nurse practitioner, pediatrician, probably a 2-week-old baby inside that shipping container with their mother. And so as you think about the songs we sang tonight, We were sitting there in one worship service in the afternoon. Maybe it was Sunday at church. And I was sitting beside Stacy, and I heard the tune, and I knew it, and I kind of looked over at her, and I said, "That's because he lives." I don't understand the words. It's in Haitian Creole. I don't have a clue what they're saying, but I know what they're saying because he lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the joy and pride he gives, and to know he can face uncertain days because he lives. Why do we go to Haiti? We don't go to Haiti to take them out of poverty. We don't go there to fix all their physical needs. We go to give that child a hope of eternal life through Jesus Christ. One other benefit I want to share with you that we are blessed to have is we stay on Tomazo's campus, which is home of the orphanage. There's 2 orphanages that are ran by Hope for Haiti's Children. One has 72 children that is ran in Port-au-Prince, and this one has 12 that's ran by Natasha and Carlo, her husband. And so when we get off the bus, we get to see these 12 wonderful children, and again, you can't see their names, but you've got Jean-Luc, you've got Esther, you've got Annelle, who became known as Lacey, you've got all these kids, and when we get off the bus, we're greeted with the most beautiful singing. And you see, as we have Mary Shell, and you have Carlo, and you have Natasha, and the orphans have sang to us, but we get to spend the week immersed in their lives. You may not understand a whole lot, but I'll tell you what, you understand this. Push me. Push me. When they sang their songs, and we said hello, we gave them a hug, and Esther goes, push me. So Lacey went and pushed her. You see these orphans and they live this life, and you see, if you can see, you see Jean-Luc on the left, and if you look right below that, you see, Jerry. Sometime, if you want to see it, Jerry sings "Jesus Loves Me" with the grumpiest face I've ever seen. But you see Jerry over here. Jerry can smile. He can prove it over here. But Jerry looks like he's not very happy there. But you see Jean-Luc, you see Jerry, you see Stacy here talking, again, sharing some stickers. Amy sharing some time with some orphans. Lacey not enjoying an afternoon nap, but serving as a rest area. Have you ever been tired? Really tired? Have you ever been concrete step tired? That's the life that these kids know. But they've got hope because they know Jesus. I want you to listen to this. We were blessed to hear this song 3 times when we visited. And we know this song, but we're going to play this song, and this is the orphans. This is a kindergarten graduation, and they're going to sing My Only Hope. And I want you to listen not only to the words that they're singing, but I want you to listen to how they're singing it. Because our last song tonight is going to be My Only Hope that we're going to sing. But let's let them teach us how to sing it.
From early in the morning to late at night, oh, there I is you. My only hope. My only hope is you. Jesus, my only hope is you. From early in the morning to late at night.
they need, their only hope, their only peace is Jesus. The lesson we can learn from that song being sang by 12 sweet orphans 700 miles from the coast of Florida is very, very powerful. They sleep on concrete steps and take a nap. They get excited about a toothbrush. But yet they sing what we know to be true. So it won't be the invitation song, but the song after will be that very same song. And I challenge us to sing it because we have so many distractions here that sometimes we think our only hope is somewhere else. Our only peace, we can find it somewhere else. But just like them, while we're not orphans in a fourth world country, our only hope is Jesus. You see here, Tanya Hunt, the Vice President of Hope for Haiti's Children, traveled last week. She returned last week amid the protest. You see, these are our orphans. Thank you, Glendale Road Church of Christ, for the partnership that we have with them, with giving them hope and teaching them Jesus and sharing God's love. Moving forward real quickly, again, this is what's happening in Haiti today. On the left, you see a protest taking place in the streets of Port-au-Prince. On the right, you see people standing with gasoline jugs because gasoline is $10 per gallon, and they can't get it. There's burning tires in the streets, violent protest, corruption in the government. It's a bad place. A place that doesn't have hope in this life. It doesn't have the things that we have. One of the takeaways, one of our members says that we can go to the grocery store and we can get bags and bags full of groceries. Well, you know what? All the schools are closed. All the stores are closed. Johnny Lane is closed up in his apartment and he has food and water and he can't leave. But it's okay because he lives. The future is bright for Hope for Haiti's Children and our others in America. This is a map of what is happening in Rebuilding Hope 2020. They're going to continue to expand the Tamazo campus and continue to bring all of our camps to this Tamazo campus eventually, where we'll have Large Camp and Camp Hope there as well. So you ask, what are our next steps? I encourage us to pray, and we're going to do it in just a minute. Continue to add the people of Haiti and the country of Haiti to your prayers. You can add them by name. Ask me and we'll give you their names. But pray for the people. Pray that that country find the only thing that can bring peace, and that's Jesus. Ask questions. I will give you this. If you ask someone who's been, you better be ready to sit down and enjoy a long conversation, because we'll be glad to talk. And then finally, I encourage you to consider joining us. The eldership has already approved a trip for the summer of 2020, June 29th through July 6th, Camp Hope 2020. If you can't go, we understand, but if you are interested, please let us know. We'd love to have you join. Of course, there'll be opportunities for donations as well. But we jump back to this. I've been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. We're doing powerful things through God's grace and his mercy and his providence in the country of Haiti. But our challenge is not only to do it in Haiti, but to do it in Callaway County, Kentucky. To do it wherever God sends us. And again, we appreciate the support that's been given. Good things are happening, not only with Brother Luke, but also with our partnership with Hope for Haiti's Children. Tonight, I've got a question for you. Richardson had to make a tough choice. And he knew he knew the options. He knew he was going to have to give things up to commit his life to Jesus Christ. And some of you may be at that time where you need to make a decision. Perhaps it's your time to make the decision to follow Jesus. Or perhaps you're having a tough time, things aren't going your way, and you need the prayers of the church, you need to study with someone. We can offer that to you too. If you have any of those needs, and we can be of assistance, please come as we stand and as we sing.